Wife has been sending explicit photos to her work husband for months, and when I confronted her, she claimed it was just office banter to get a promotion, but now she is asking for an open marriage to explore her feelings. I, 32M, have been married to my wife Hannah, 30F, for 3 years, but we have been together for a total of 6 years. We rent a townhouse in a suburb that is a little bit outside of the city where we both work. Up until recently, things were generally pretty normal. We had our routines. About 8 months ago, Hannah started a new job at a marketing firm. She was really excited about it because it was a step up from her previous role and the pay was better. I was happy for her. For the first few months, everything seemed fine. She would come home and tell me about her day, the projects she was working on, and the people she was meeting. That was when she started talking about a guy named Ethan. Ethan, 34M, is a senior associate or something similar at her firm. Hannah told me that they hit it off immediately because they had a similar sense of humor, and they were working on the same team for a big client. She started calling him her work husband. At first, I didn't think much of it. I know that work spouse is a term people use. I have female colleagues I am friendly with, though I don't think I would use that specific term, but I wanted to be supportive. Hannah seemed really happy to have a friend at work, and she said Ethan was helping her navigate the office politics. In April, I asked Hannah if it was okay if I met some of her work friends, maybe for a happy hour or something. She had been spending a lot of time with them, or at least she said she was. She told me that she would love for me to meet them, especially Ethan, because she thought we would get along. She said we both liked the same video games and sports, so we went to a bar near her office one Friday. I met a few people and I met Ethan. He seemed nice enough, I guess. He was very charismatic. He bought a round of drinks, but the whole time, I felt like a third wheel. Hannah and Ethan had all these inside jokes. They would finish each other's sentences or reference things that happened in meetings I wasn't part of. I tried to join the conversation. I asked Ethan about his role and about the projects. He was polite, but he kept pivoting the attention back to Hannah. At one point, he put his arm around the back of her chair. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be the jealous husband who makes a scene at his wife's work event. I figured maybe that's just how they were. After that night, it started to bother me more. No matter how much I tried to be okay with it, the dynamic felt off. Hannah would text him constantly when we were at home. We would be watching a movie and she would be giggling at her phone. If I asked what was funny, she would say, "Oh, just something Ethan sent me." I tried to prioritize spending time with Hannah. I planned dates. I tried to make sure we had time without phones, but it felt like Ethan was always there in the background. If we went to dinner, she would check her phone to see if he replied. If we were grocery shopping, she would see something and say, "Oh, Ethan would love that." It started creating a rift between us. I brought it up to her in June. I told her that I felt like she was emotionally investing a lot in this friendship and that I felt a bit sidelined. Hannah got really defensive. She told me I was being insecure and that Ethan was just a friend. She said he was actually really supportive of our marriage and that he always asked how I was doing. She told me that I needed to work on my jealousy issues. I thought about it and I wondered if maybe she was right. I do have some anxiety and maybe I was reading too much into it, so I tried to back off. I tried to be cool about it, but then her behavior got more erratic. She started staying late at work a lot more often. She said they had big deadlines. Sometimes she wouldn't come home until 9 or 10 p.m. When she did come home, she would be wired, almost manic. She would talk a mile a minute about work, or she would be really quiet and snap at me if I asked her a simple question like if she wanted leftovers for dinner. She also started being really protective of her phone. She changed her passcode. She used to leave it on the coffee table face up, but now she always kept it in her pocket or face down. If I walked into the room while she was on it, she would quickly lock the screen. I felt uncomfortable in my own house. I felt like I was walking on eggshells because I didn't want to upset her or make her think I was being jealous again. I was constantly second-guessing myself. I would think, is this suspicious? And then I would answer myself, no, you're just being paranoid, she's just stressed about work. In July, I started spending more time at the gym or playing video games in the spare room just to give her space. I thought maybe if I wasn't hovering, she would relax. I tried to keep in touch with her throughout the day, sending memes or just asking how her day was, but her replies got shorter and shorter. Then, last week happened. Hannah went to take a shower and she left her iPad on the couch. It was unlocked. I know I shouldn't have snooped. I know that's a breach of trust, but I couldn't help myself. I had this pit in my stomach that just wouldn't go away. I opened her messages. It was synced with her phone. The thread with Ethan was at the top. It wasn't just jokes. It wasn't just work venting. There were photos, explicit photos, photos she had taken in our bathroom, in our bedroom, photos of her wearing lingerie that I had bought for her, and his responses were graphic. They were talking about what they wanted to do to each other. They were talking about specific times they had hooked up in his car or at his apartment when she said she was working late. I felt like I was going to throw up. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped the iPad I scrolled back for months. This had been going on since late April, basically right after I met him. I put the iPad down and just sat there. I didn't know what to do. I felt like my entire reality had just dissolved. I was angry, but mostly I was just shocked. I couldn't believe she could lie to my face so easily for so long. When she got out of the shower, she came into the living room drying her hair. She saw my face and she knew something was wrong. She looked at the iPad on the couch and then looked at me. I asked her, "What is this?" She didn't even deny it. She didn't cry. She just sighed and sat down on the armchair opposite me. She said, "I figured you would find out eventually." I asked her how she could do this. I asked if she was in love with him. This is where it gets confusing. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "It's not what you think. It started as just banter. Office politics. You know how it is. You have to flirt a little to get ahead. Ethan has a lot of pull with the partners. I was just playing the game to get that promotion." I stared at her. I asked her how sending nude photos was playing the game. She said, "It just escalated. It's just a fantasy. It doesn't mean anything real. It's just a way to blow off steam." The stress of the job is huge, and this was an outlet. I told her that was insane. I told her that cheating isn't an outlet. Then she switched gears. She said, "Look, honestly, I've been feeling really stifled lately. I feel like I missed out on my 20s because we got serious so young. Ethan makes me feel exciting and desired. I think we should open the marriage." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I asked her if she was serious. She said, "Yes, I don't want to leave you. I love you. We have a life together, but I have needs that aren't being met, and I want to explore this connection with Ethan without having to hide it. I think it could actually be good for us. You could date too." I told her absolutely not. I told her that she cheated on me for months, lied to me, gaslit me into thinking I was crazy for being jealous, and now she wants permission to continue doing it. She got angry then. She started yelling. She said I was being controlling and closed-minded. She said, "It's 2024, monogamy isn't for everyone. You're just trying to trap me." I didn't want to yell back. I was too exhausted. I felt unsafe emotionally. I felt like I didn't know this person at all. She was twisting everything around to make me the bad guy for not wanting my wife to sleep with her coworker. I told her I couldn't do this. I told her I was leaving. She laughed at me. She said, "Where are you going to go? You can't afford a place on your own." She wasn't wrong. Our rent is high. We live in a nice area. My salary is okay, but hers is significantly higher now with this new job. We split everything 50-50 based on our old incomes, but I wouldn't be able to pay the full rent here, and finding a short-term rental quickly is expensive. But I couldn't stay there. I packed a bag, just essentials. Clothes, my laptop, my toiletries. I called my brother, who lives about 40 minutes away. He said I could crash on his couch. I told Hannah I was leaving and that we needed to figure out what to do about the lease. She just sat there scrolling on her phone, probably texting Ethan. She said, "You're making a huge mistake. You're throwing away a marriage because of your ego." I left. I drove to my brother's house. I was shaking the whole way. I've been at my brother's for 3 days now. I haven't gone back to the apartment except in my head, thinking about everything I left behind. I sent Hannah a text yesterday. I told her that I am not coming back to the apartment. I told her that since she makes more money and she is the one who wants to stay there, she needs to cover the rent for next month. I told her I would pay my half of the utilities for this month since I was there for most of it, but that I am untangling our finances. I also know enough about our lease to know that I can't just be taken off immediately without her income qualifying for the whole thing or without paying a penalty. But I told her she needs to figure that out. She blew up my phone. She sent me dozens of texts. She told me I was abandoning her. She said I was financially abusing her by leaving her with the bills. She said, "I can't believe you would do this to me after everything we've been through." She said that she spent a lot of her savings on a vacation we took earlier this year, which is true, but that was a mutual decision, and that she doesn't have the liquidity to pay full rent right now. She said I promised to support her and be her partner. I told her that she broke that promise when she started sleeping with Ethan. She's telling our mutual friends that I had a mental breakdown and walked out on her for no reason. I'm getting texts from people asking if I'm okay and why I'm being so harsh to Hannah. I haven't told anyone the details yet because it's humiliating. I don't want everyone to know my wife was sending nudes to her boss or whatever he is. My brother and my parents are telling me to cut her off completely financially. They say she has a high-paying job and she can figure it out. They say she is an adult who made choices, but I feel guilty. I know that sounds stupid, but I worry that if I don't pay my share of the rent, it will ruin my credit score too if she refuses to pay. Both our names are on the lease. If we get evicted, that goes on my record. I told her I would meet her to discuss the bills, but I refused to discuss the relationship. She agreed, but then when we started texting about a time, she started spiraling again, accusing me of being cruel and saying that Ethan thinks I'm being irrational. I admit I lost my temper over text. I told her I don't give a damn what Ethan thinks. I told her she destroyed our marriage for a promotion, and that she is delusional if she thinks I'm going to fund her lifestyle while she plays house with him. I probably shouldn't have said that. It just gave her more ammo to call me abusive. Now she is demanding that I pay the rent for the remainder of the lease, which is 4 more months because I'm the one choosing to leave. She says since I'm the one breaking the contract of living together, I should pay. I feel stuck. I don't want to pay thousands of dollars for an apartment I'm not living in, especially for a woman who cheated on me. But I also don't want to get sued or have my credit ruined. My brother says I should just pay the breakage fee to the landlord directly and get my name off, but I don't know if I can do that without her signature. I'm sitting here on this couch trying to figure out my next move. I feel like my life has been turned upside down in less than a week. I don't know who this woman is anymore. What should I do? Should I pay my half of the rent to protect my credit? Or should I listen to my family and let her deal with the consequences, even if it blows back on me? Update 1 first, I want to address some of the comments on my original post. A lot of people were asking why I didn't just screen record the messages or forward them to myself. I honestly was in shock. I wasn't thinking like a lawyer or a detective. I was just a husband finding out his wife was cheating. I didn't think to gather evidence right in that second. I just wanted to get away from it. Also, to the people saying I should report her and Ethan to HR, I considered it. But honestly, I just want to be done. I don't want to drag this out into a revenge plot. I just want to untangle my life from hers. Okay, so here is what has happened in the last week. I did not go back to the apartment. I took the advice of many of you and contacted the landlord directly. I explained the situation, well, a vague version of it. I told them we were separating and I had moved out. The landlord was actually pretty understanding, but told me what I expected. The lease is a legal contract binding both of us. Unless Hannah qualifies for the apartment on her own income and agrees to sign a new lease, or unless we pay the lease break fee, which is 2 months' rent, I am still liable. I tried to talk to Hannah again. I kept it strictly to email so there would be a paper trail. I laid out the options. 1, she signs a new lease alone, she makes enough now. 2, we both sign to break the lease, we split the fee, and we both move out. 3, she finds a roommate to take my spot. She replied to the email with a long rant. She said she is too traumatized by my abandonment to deal with moving or finding a roommate. She said she shouldn't have to refinance or re-qualify because she didn't do anything wrong. She insisted again that I pay my half until the lease ends in 4 months because I'm the one who left. Then things got worse. I logged into our joint credit card account, one we used for groceries and household stuff. I intended to remove my name or freeze it. She had maxed it out in 3 days. She bought new furniture. She bought expensive clothes. She racked up a bill at a high-end restaurant, probably with Ethan. The balance was nearly $4,000. We usually keep it at 0 every month. I immediately called the credit card company and froze the card. I disputed the charges, but since she is an authorized user, they said it's difficult. I transferred half of the savings from our joint bank account to my personal account, which I should have done day 1, and removed my direct deposit. I got a lawyer. I didn't want to spend the money, but after seeing the credit card, I knew I had to. My lawyer sent her a letter outlining that I am filing for divorce and that we need to settle the assets and debts. My lawyer also advised me to pay my share of the rent for this month directly to the landlord to show good faith, but to make it clear this is the final payment I am making for a residence I do not occupy. I went to the apartment one last time to get the rest of my things. I brought my brother and my dad with me because I didn't want to be alone with her. It was a disaster. The apartment was a mess. There were wine bottles everywhere. It looked like she hadn't cleaned since I left. Hannah was there. She looked terrible. She started screaming at my dad, telling him that he raised a coward. She tried to block me from entering the bedroom to get my clothes. My brother had to stand between us. While I was packing, I noticed that some of my things were missing or broken. My gaming console was smashed on the floor in the spare room. She had cut up some of my shirts. I took photos of everything. The mess, the broken console, the clothes. I told her that the cost of the damaged items was coming out of whatever settlement we reach. She laughed and said, "Good luck proving I did it. Maybe you broke it in a rage before you left." This is the level of gaslighting I am dealing with. I grabbed what was left of my stuff and got out of there. I sent her an email afterwards with the photos attached, copying my lawyer. I broke down the cost of the damage. It was roughly $800 worth of stuff. plus the $4,000 on the credit card. I told her I am willing to pay my half of the rent for this month, $1,400. However, I am deducting the cost of the items you destroyed and my half of the unauthorized credit card debt you accrued after our separation date. That leaves my payment to you at $0. Actually, you owe me money. My lawyer said this was a bit aggressive, but legally sound enough as a starting negotiation point. Hannah didn't reply to the email. Instead, she posted a long, vague status on social media about narcissistic abuse and men who can't handle strong women. She blocked me, but my brother sent me a screenshot. I blocked her on everything except email. I am currently still sleeping on my brother's couch. I'm looking for a small studio apartment, but with the legal fees and the debt she ran up, money is tight. I just want this to be over. I feel like I'm waking up from a nightmare only to realize the nightmare is my actual life. Update 2, it has been about 4 months since I moved out. I wanted to give a final update because things have settled down mostly. I am officially divorced. We managed to do a mediated divorce because neither of us wanted to pay for a drawn-out court battle, and honestly, we didn't have enough assets to make it worth it. Here is how the financials shook out. The credit card debt was the biggest point of contention. She tried to argue it was marital expenses. I had the receipts showing it was luxury goods bought after I left. The mediator sided with me. She had to take on the full debt of that card. Regarding the lease, she ended up staying in the apartment. She didn't want to move. She got a roommate, you guessed it. Ethan moved in. Or at least he's there all the time. I don't know if he's officially on the lease, and I don't care. Once I signed the divorce papers and the landlord released me from the liability, which took some negotiating and a small fee, it wasn't my problem anymore. I never got paid back for the broken Xbox or the clothes. I decided to let it go. It was worth losing $800 to get her out of my life faster. I have my own place now. It's a small one-bedroom apartment, nothing fancy, but it's mine. It's quiet. I don't have to worry about anyone hiding their phone or lying to me. I have been in therapy for a few months. It's helped a lot. I realized I had been ignoring red flags for a long time, even before the work husband thing started. I was so afraid of conflict that I let her walk all over me in smaller ways for years. I haven't spoken to Hannah since the mediation. I have her blocked everywhere. However, I did get an email from her last week. It was bizarre. She wrote to me as if we were just old friends catching up. She didn't mention the cheating, the divorce, or the screaming matches. She said, "Hey, I was just thinking about you. I hope you're doing well. Work has been so crazy lately. Ethan and I are doing okay, but it's different living together, you know, he's messy. I kinda miss how organized you were. Anyway, I saw a trailer for that new movie coming out and thought of you. We should go see it as friends. I think we can be mature enough for that, right?" I read it 3 times. The audacity is actually impressive. She completely rewrote history in her head where we just drifted apart and are now cool. She also mentioned in a follow-up sentence that rent is coming up and asked if I could help out just this once because Ethan is waiting on a bonus and she's a little short. I didn't reply. I just forwarded it to my lawyer just in case, and then I deleted it. I think the saddest part is that she genuinely doesn't see what she did wrong. She thinks the world revolves around her feelings and everyone else is just a supporting character. I'm not dating yet. I don't think I will be for a while. I'm just enjoying the peace. I've been reconnecting with my friends, the ones I stopped seeing as much because Hannah didn't like them. I've been playing games, hiking, just doing normal stuff. I guess the takeaway is that if your partner has a work spouse that they prioritize over you, trust your gut. And if they ask for an open marriage after getting caught cheating, just run. Thank you to everyone on Reddit who gave me advice. Even the harsh comments helped me wake up and stop trying to nice guy my way through a divorce. I appreciate you all. I probably won't log into this account again. I want to leave this chapter behind completely. Good luck out there.